Hello, AIME community and brokers are better. Welcome back from a long weekend. It is a new month, June 1st. I hope you had a great and positive Memorial Day weekend. I just want to take a second and honor our military brokers and their staff and their families, both current and veterans. Thank you so much for your sacrifice and your service, which allows us to do what we love to do every day. So thank you. Now, it is Tuesday, and if you are anything like me, you are grateful for the long holiday weekend. Super grateful. But it's Tuesday, and now everything is thrown off just a little bit. For us, for our staff, even for our clients, it can feel really hectic. It can feel really sluggish. It can be both. This is mortgages. Anything can happen, right? So the question is, how do you get yourself and your team back into the groove after a long holiday weekend? Well, in a perfect world, you would front load your week before you left on Friday. You would have everything set out for yourself to do so that when you get back into the office on Tuesday, it's all sitting there ready for you to just dive in. That's in a perfect world. But also consider the fact that we just came off of month end, a holiday weekend, and somebody told me that Mercury is in retrograde or whatever that means. So there's been a whole lot of craziness going on, to say the least. So what if you're like me and you or your staff just said, you know what, I'm out of here. I am gonna leave, and you leave for the weekend knowing that everything would be waiting for you right when you get back. Well, it happens a lot, for me anyway. So I am going to give you a few tips that have helped me kind of get back into that groove from the long holiday weekend. So the first tip I want to give you is expect and encourage show and tell time. I know that sounds kind of funny, but just think back from when you were in school, and we loved show and tell time. It was the time when we got to come in and show people what we got or tell people what we did. It's show and tell time. Everybody loves it. I don't know who doesn't. So it's okay. I like to take a minute and talk about my weekend, and I talk about it with my staff. I find out what they did, what the great things were, what the highlights of the weekend were. But if you are a single broker shop, well, then call up a friend. Just call them and say, hey, how was your weekend? Get it out, share your wins for the weekend, and then go forward. Now, something else I've learned is to set a time limit, because if I don't, the next thing I know, an hour has gone by, an hour and a half has gone by, and we've just been chit-chatting and social butterflying it, and all of a sudden I am further behind than I even started. So set a time limit. Go in and say, all right, we got 15 minutes. Tell me about your weekend. Get that all out there. So do your show and tell. The next thing after you're done with that is go into your office or go into your space and make sure it is tidied up. For me, when my space is cluttered, so my desk, my office, my workspace, if that's all cluttered, then my mind is cluttered too. And it's one of those things that, yes, we're loan officers. We can jump from fire to fire, from file to file without a problem, without missing a beat. We've got sticky notes all over our desk. It just happens, and we can do it, right? But navigating through additional clutter uses precious mental energy and RAM that we need. We need every bit of it that we can get. So I've had to get in the habit of clearing my space. Set a timer if you have to, but just make sure that you're tidying everything up and that you are ready to go. The next thing that I like to do is I like to set quiet time. I know this sounds like preschool again. We've talked about show and tell, and now I'm talking about quiet time, but there's a method to my madness. I like to have the individual quiet time. When years ago, I worked for a wholesaler, we had for our underwriters, they had quiet time. And that was a moment when they set aside time to work on the things that they needed to complete, the tasks that they needed. There were no phone calls. They didn't check their voicemail. They didn't check their email. They just blocked out that quiet time to where they were purely focused on tasks and getting those done. So I like to set up that period in time in the beginning of my day to go through everything. I will do my morning startup. I will run through my unfinished tasks that were left over from the week before. I will make a list of my priorities, not anybody else's, but mine, the tasks that are mine to do, the things that I need to accomplish for myself as a business owner and as a broker. And I will list that out. I will also go and write down my brick by brick. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you can rewind to one of the last sales rallies that I did. I think it was back in March, where I talked about brick by brick. So you can do that. But that's what I do, is I go through my brick by brick and I lay it all out there. I also do a speed clear of my inboxes. Now, some people may disagree. Some people will say, don't check your email, don't check your voicemails. But for me, it's imperative that I do that, because over the weekend, early in the morning, things may have come up that I need to handle right away. In addition to that, there will probably be a lot of things that I don't need to handle. So when I say speed clear, I mean, let's just do the basics. Let's go into our inboxes, like our voicemail, our email, our text messages, and put things in categories. I have my 4 Ds. I have do, delegate, delay, and discard. So I'll repeat that: do, delegate, delay, and discard. What I do is I say, okay, is this an email from me? So if it's me and me alone that can do it, I will put it in my do pile. If it is something that would be better served being delegated to a member of my staff, my processor, my loan officer assistant, then I will put that in delegate. And if it's something that is interesting and I'd like to look into it, maybe I don't have the time right now, I'll put it in my delay pile. And then if it's something that comes in that I just know I don't need, like rate sheets from lenders that I'm not even signed up with, anything, I will just discard it, get rid of it, get it out of the way. And then at a certain point in time, I can go back into those individual piles and handle them then. But the goal is to clear your inboxes, because, and it's been so hard for me to learn this, but your inbox is not your storage box. It's just that. It is the inbox where the information comes in and you can disseminate it where you need to. So that's something else that I will do, a quick speed clear of my inboxes. So once I've had the moment to have my own individual quiet time, it's important for me to have some team organization. Every day I have a pipeline meeting that we have set aside, that we have scheduled. That is when me, my processor, my loan officer assistant, we get together briefly for the time to go through our files, to get on the same page, to communicate, to ask them, what is it that you need? What are you struggling with? What is it that I can help you with? Or what are my expectations as the broker for the day and for the week ahead? Then we'll go through my schedule so that they're on the same page, and through their schedule and everything like that. So we will just take a moment and do our pipeline meeting. And it doesn't need to be a long time. I know that I have just gone through a whole list of things, and people could think, oh my goodness, that could just take up half of my day, but it doesn't have to. That's what's important. We're talking about the things that we can do really quickly to get ourselves set and to set up our day and our week for success. So that's what I do. After we've met, it's ready, break. And we just move forward and we tackle the piles, we tackle the to-do lists. And speaking of to-do, I have nicknamed Tuesdays, those are my to-do Tuesdays. So on to-do Tuesday, I have to pick one thing that I have been putting off for a long time. Something that I know I should do, but I've just been putting it off. So that is my thing that I just have to do on To Do Tuesday. And actually this morning, early this morning, I have already taken care of my To Do Tuesday list. I had an early morning conversation with a realtor partner of mine. It is a conversation that I had been dreading and I had been fretting over it. And you know how we always seem to make it worse than it actually is? That's what I had been doing. And the funny thing is, as soon as I was off that conversation, off the phone, I felt instantly lighter. And you know, I should know this by now, and I know we should know these things, but it's so interesting how subconsciously there are things that we have put off that we just haven't done. We've been avoiding them, and they just sit there and they just cause this stress and this unneeded weight on our shoulders. And I was able to unload that weight, feel so much better. I'm on the same page as my realtor partner. I feel so much better. And I'm thinking to myself, why didn't I do that earlier? So that is what my To Do Tuesday is. So I encourage you to do that for yourself and to encourage your staff to do that as well if you have staff for you. So here we are on Tuesday. Hopefully we are ready to go. One other thing I want to tell you, if you're not ready to go, it's okay. It's gonna happen. We very rarely, in my opinion, in this industry, take the needed breaks that we need. So if you took the time, give yourself a pat on the back that you actually took time to enjoy a weekend. Because if we don't recharge ourselves, if we don't keep our cell phone batteries charged, then we're lost without them. So if we let our cell phone batteries die, and we don't want to let them die, why is it okay for us to let our batteries die? So if that's where you're at, you're a little sluggish and you're not feeling it, it's okay. Give yourself a little grace and get yourself pumped up and then get going. Until then, just enjoy the journey. And thank you so much for tuning in. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to share. Brokers are better, the AIME community, it's about sharing. So I've shared with you the topics that work, the tips that work for me. I want you to do the same. So drop them in the comments. Share with the rest of the community what works for you. When you've come back from a holiday weekend, what is it that you do? What is it that you tell others? And what has worked for your team to get you going and to bring you success? So please share with everybody else. Enjoy your week. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, brokers are better.